Hello there and welcome back to the channel and another episode of the So You Pick series where we look into your basic toolkit at level 15. Then we jump out into the field for some solo combat goodness. Lastly, jumping into some control group combat environment to hopefully teach you a little bit more about your role and the job in a group situation. Today we're going to be looking at Gladiator, the second tank class available from the start of the game. And it has a slightly different style of tanking than Marauder does. You ready to start, Ren? Good. Let's just jump straight into the toolkit. Enjoy, guys. Right, guys, so jumping into the toolkit. At level 1, you will start with Fast Blade, which is your basic attack, and it delivers a attack with a potency of 200. Nice and easy stuff. Hit them with your sword, basically. At level 2, you will get your first buff, which is called Fight or Flight. That will increase your physical damage dealt by 25%, and it lasts for 25 seconds on a 60-second cooldown. So every minute you can pop that, and it's worthwhile doing as soon like keeping it on cooldown. At level 4, you will get Riot Blade, which delivers an attack with a potency of 100. It will combo with Fast Blade, so you would do Fast Blade, then Riot Blade. And when you do it in the combo, it will boost that potency up to 300. At level 6, you will get your first AoE skill, which is called Total Eclipse. This delivers an attack with a potency of 120 to all nearby enemies, and you don't have to be actually targeting an enemy to use it. So you can just do it just run into the middle of a group and just Total Eclipse them. Very cool. At level 10, you will get Shield Bash, which delivers an attack with potency of 110. And its additional effect is a stun, and it lasts for duration of 6 seconds. Obviously, like all the other stuns, it has diminishing returns of starting with 6 seconds, then 3 seconds, then 1 second, and then immune for a minute, and then reset. But be careful with your stuns. With Shield Bash, obviously you just hit them in the face with your shield, which is quite fun actually. I do enjoy using it. At level 10, your second level 10 skill will be Iron Will, which is your tank stance for Gladiator. Obviously what this does is this significantly increases the enmity generation, and you use it once to turn it on, use it again to turn it off. There's no real reason to turn it off. Just as a general rule, there's no real reason to turn it off. You should always make sure you have it on in dungeons though. And lastly, at level 15, you will get your ranged attack. And Gladiator's one is Shield Lob, which delivers a ranged attack with a potency of 120. And it will increase enemy when you hit them with your shield. Essentially you just throw your shield at them, Captain America style, which is another one that's really cool actually. And that is it for the actual Gladiator skills. Now next we're going to be going on to the role skills. Role skills will be shared, or are shared, between both Marauder and Gladiator, so you will get access to the same ones as both, as well as the other tanks later on. You all share the same ones. At level 8 on your role skills, you will get Rampart, which is quite a good defensive cooldown. I think it's your first defensive cooldown on Gladiator. Now what that does is that reduces your damage taken by 20% for 20 seconds, and it has a 90-second cooldown. Now at level 12, your Gladiator is in a unique position where they get access to 2 stuns should have really mentioned one thing. Shield Bash doesn't really have a cooldown, just the global cooldown. Just, you know, it's like any other skill. Whereas Low Blow is another stun, and it has a 25-second recast. You get with Gladiator, you get access to 2 stuns. On a personal level, I would say Shield Bash is the more impressive of the 2, but you can use whichever one you want. And lastly, at level 15, you will get Provoke, which I love this tooltip. I love it. Gesture threateningly, placing yourself at the top of the target's enemy list while gaining additional enmity. Basically, it's like, come and have a go if you think you're hard enough kind of thing. It will put you at the top of the list, but you've also got to make sure that you follow it up with an enmity generating skill. You've got to make sure you hit them straight afterwards, otherwise someone else can just pip you to the top and it becomes a bit more of a problem. After you use Provoke, make sure you hit that enemy that you provoked with an attack with your tank stance on, and you should be good. You shouldn't lose them. So that has been our look into the toolkit for Gladiator. All good stuff in there. I do like a bit of Gladiator action. So we are going to jump straight out into the field now and do some solo combat stuff. Catch you outside. Right guys, so now we're out in the field. We're going to jump into the solo combat stuff. Now first things first, on a personal level, I would make sure that you always try and keep your tank stance on at all times. There's no real negative effect from having it on at all times, and it will get you used to checking that you have your tank stance on for when you're in dungeons, because you travel to a different instance when you go into a dungeon or some like another group content kind of stuff. So if you have it on, like out here, if I was to jump into a dungeon, my tank stance would turn off because I'm not in the same instance. I'm in a different part of the server. So it's always worth getting into that muscle memory, get in your head. Before you start combat, check you have your tank stance on. In this case, Iron Will. You'll know that your tank stance is on because the crystal in this thing here will be yellowy-orange. And when you turn it off, it is a black colour. So make sure, before you start combat, make sure Iron Will is on. Get that into your muscle memory. There's the amount of times that I've went into a dungeon and the tank's forgotten to turn his tank stance on, and it's been a rough couple of fights before he's remembered or someone's told him. Anyways, once you've got that on, you have 2 options for solo combat. If you want to, we've got 3 enemies here. If you don't want to fight them all at the same time, and you want to pull one away from the group, I would suggest target the one obviously that you want to pull away. Make sure you're in range, and then you can use a shield lob to get your attention, and it'll drag him towards you. And then you can just spam your Riot Blade combo. Keep fight on cooldown. Pop it every 60 seconds until the enemy is dead. All good stuff. But if you are going to take on a couple of enemies, or well, a few enemies, which you can do with a tank, because you have the higher defense. You don't want to overpull, but you know, it's a judgment thing. You'll work out quite quickly how many enemies you can handle. So once you're thinking that one, I would still suggest making sure you have Iron Will on. But as you're running up, shield lob them. Shield lob the first one. Get his attention. followed up with a couple of total eclipses, which will hit all the enemies in the group. Then I would use the right blade combo, switch to the other enemy, hit them with a right blade combo. Again, keeping fight or flight up on cooldown. Throwing out a couple of total eclipses every now and again. Pop Rampart if you feel you're taking more damage. The more enemies you all will be attacking or will be taking hits from, the more useful Rampart will be. Make sure you keep Rampart up when you feel you're taking damage. Right blade combo them down. Shield bash if you feel you need, if there's a skill that you want to stun or it does damage, so it's worthwhile doing if you're in solo. If one tries to get away from you, you can use provoke to pull them back, but that provoke tends to only really be a problem in, or really be used in group content. And basically every now and again, if you're fighting a group of enemies, just pop out a couple of total eclipses just to hit them all, which will keep their attention focused on you. Nice and easy stuff. Right, so we're going to jump now. We are going to jump into the group content. I shall see you there. Right guys, so now we're in the group combat situation. First things first, make sure you have your tank stance turned on, as just to get that muscle memory going. Make sure you're done. It makes it much easier as you run it up. You want to be grabbing shield lob just to get your attention. Hit him with a right blade combo. You want to be keeping them faced away. You want to be keeping the group face away from the enemy. Make sure you turn your camera around, just keep an eye out on stuff going on. Take down this lovely enemy right here. Obviously you will see that other enemies will pop up. As they get close, hit them with a couple of total eclipses to get the other one's attention. And let your DPS kill that second additional enemy. Always be aware of what's going on around you for any additional enemies that are coming up. And next, we're on to the second stage. Lovely 3 enemies here. Shield lob 1. And follow that up with a couple of total eclipses. Pop Rampart. Just keep that up as much as you can. If you are fighting 3 enemies, you will take more damage. Obviously, the more enemies you are fighting, the more damage you will take. So obviously you want to mitigate that as much as possible. Other than that, just keep on spamming your right blade combo and throwing out a couple of total eclipses every now and again when you have more than one enemy. Shield bash when you need to, when you feel you need to. And we're now on to the big guy. Dodge the corner AoE, but try not to turn them. You need to try and dodge it and get back into position as quickly as possible, so you don't turn the enemies. If you're not quick enough, the enemy can turn with you because he's focused on you. You can turn and attack hit the rest of the group with his AoE. Keep on your fight or flight just when it comes available. You can stun that one. That's a handy place to stun them. And try and save your stuns for skills that are harder to dodge out of the AoEs, like larger AoEs, circle ones. That's when you tend to use your stun more often. You will know if a skill is stunnable because it will have a red, I think it's a red glowy bar around the casting bar. That lets you know that it can be either interrupted or stunned. We're keeping an eye on that one. So that has been our group content. Right guys, so that has been our first look into Gladiator. Now something I forgot to mention while we're in combat is the tanking styles between Marauder and Gladiator, and obviously the other two as well, which we haven't looked at yet. What Gladiator's bag is to mitigate as much damage as possible, so they'll block it with a shield, magical shields, defensive cooldowns will block a whole ton of damage, and that's kind of their style, is to mitigate most of the damage that they take. Whereas Marauders, they are more of the style of getting their health back that they've lost as quickly as possible. So their skills are more based on health regen and boosting health regen and stuff like that. More than, you know, so they'll take the big hit, but they'll have the skills to get that health back that they've lost as quickly as possible. That's the two different styles. So please, when you're picking your tank, bear that in mind, because they do have two completely different styles, ways of tanking. That being said, thank you all for watching. I hope this has helped. I hope the series is helping as a whole. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me in the comment section on my social media. You can catch us on Sundays during my live streams. You can ask us questions there should you want, even if I'm not playing Final Fantasy. You can ask us Final Fantasy questions. I will gladly answer any questions you may have. If I don't know the answer, I will certainly find out the answer for you. Right, you still having fun? Good stuff. Are you ready for Rogue, which is our last combat job to do? Also good stuff. Should be fun. Rogue's quite fun actually. I do quite like Rogue. Right guys, so we're going to leave that there for today. If you're new here, feel free to come check out some of the stuff we've got going on. Hang around a while. We would love to have you here. If you're not new here, thank you for the support. It's much appreciated. And you all know what's coming. Please like, share, comment, subscribe and all that jazz. And as always, just see you on the flip side. Bye bye.